Vikings banter. We are out here. We got Johnny Sweets in the house. We may have Luke Davis a little bit later. We are the best team in the league. It's a beautiful. I mean, I've been saying it for 3 weeks straight now. It keeps on just persisting. The only reason I say that is one, Sam Darnold is the truth, and we are starting to continue to get to know that. We continue to get healthier while Detroit keeps on getting weaker. And then we are so much, our games are a lot like Kansas City, where there's close games, but we just eke them out, whether it's pretty or not. So at least we're starting to see even within a lot of the brackets and like the standings, we are like top three now, right? It's dope.
I noticed we dropped in the power rankings on ESPN. They had the Eagles ahead of us, and they had the Ravens ahead of. They had a couple of. I can't remember now. They had a
Oh,
couple of teams
really?
ahead
Well,
of us.
who has? I thought somebody had us top three this week. Somebody did.
It so many different pundits at this point. I can't really listen to all the noise at this stage of the season. It's frustrating to see that we're not getting the accolades we deserve. A lot of guys are still just unsure about how good Sam Darnold is or what he's going to do in the playoffs. But yeah, he had a little bit of a shaky game last week against the Bears. He threw an interception, didn't really look. He missed a couple throws, didn't look as poised as he had been. He
Sure.
had some frustrations. JJ had a big drop there that could have been a touchdown as well. So not the greatest game for us, but we
I,
still ended up
I look,
flattening them,
we're
covering the
talking
spread.
about a momentum shifting drop by JJ. That was all of JJ's fault. It was put
Mhm.
in the perfect place at the perfect time. And it was interesting because that was going to put us up 17 nothing. And that's when the wheels would have fallen off that game. And it's so funny because we're already starting to become these fans that expect too much, where it's like, why aren't we up 17 nothing? It's only 10 nothing. And, they definitely kept it close for a second, but then we just continued to carry it away. But I didn't blame a lot of that stuff on Darnold. He definitely had a few missed opportunities and a goofy pick, but that's kind of normal stuff. It's not like we're not talking about Kirk Cousins here.
Yeah, we're nitpicking at this point. We want the blowouts. We don't want that fourth down touchdown throw by Caleb Williams. That was total garbage time. Defense played well all game. Got after the quarterback. We looked really good. Jalen Redmond, who I guess is going to be out this week now. He's been a monster lately for us at defensive tackle. So he's been a nice player to have there. Jonathan Grenard continuing to make plays. We get Stephon Gilmore back this week, and then in a couple weeks we have Ivan Pace Jr. is back. But yeah, this one makes me a little nervous going into the Seahawks game. We're really bad at Seattle. We don't typically beat them. Geno Smith is going to be playing, and they have the other running back Kenneth. Their RB1 Kenneth Walker will be playing as well. So I'm
Yeah.
a little nervous going into the Seattle game. I was like, we can't afford to drop any more games, especially if we wanted to win the division. It's crazy to me. You see these two 12-2 teams like Detroit and Minnesota, but one of us is going to be playing a road divisional wild card game, which is nuts to me. That you're going to have 12, 13 wins. That was 12 wins usually wins you the division 9 times out of 10. But this is a weird year for us. The Packers are
Yeah.
looking good. Lions are looking good. They're looking fallible too. The Lions, they put up 40 plus points and they still end up losing the game. There's a lot of injuries on defense there, but yeah. So this to me is going to be the deciding factor. I think if we beat Seattle, then I like our chances against Green Bay, and then it comes down to Week 18, NFC North divisional championship game. So a lot to look forward to here if you're a Vikings fan. We still have the NFC. We have our destiny controlled at this point.
So if
If
we
we
win
win
this
out the
game
next
and we
three,
beat Detroit, we get the one. So that game is for
100%.
the first seed.
First seed. Yep. We would be the team. We have the tiebreaker against the Eagles too, even if the Eagles went out based on strength of schedule. So we'd be ahead of the Eagles in that one. And so we would have a first round bye, and then we would have the rest of the games through this up to the Super Bowl would be at home in Minnesota.
That's the
So
biggest regular season game that we'd have been pretty much in our lifetime so far. That we actually could secure a number one seed against Detroit final game. I mean, we're so basically you're saying though, so after this week, we're in the playoffs.
We already are in the playoffs. We clinched a berth.
No, I'm
That's
saying like we already are living with like a playoff energy after this week because that's a playoff
yes.
game then,
Yes.
right?
Then we have two really tough games. We play Green Bay at home. Then we got to go on the road to Detroit, and that will be the deciding. If we win the next two, the third game will be the deciding NFC North championship game.
That's well, I guess even so, there's a lot on the line for Seattle this week though too, right? So
They're hanging out in the wild card. They can't afford to lose games. I think the Commanders are also another team that's one of those teams that could
in a
potentially.
weird way though, we're almost already in playoff atmosphere though because of what's on the line for each game that we're playing here on out. You're gonna start to have that like escalating playoff vibe
Yes,
energy.
yes, and Seattle is also in a playoff mode as well. You got to look at so the Commanders are playing the Eagles this week, which is a really tough game. Commanders are 9-5. Seattle's 8-6. So if Seattle wins, that's a huge one for them because we're anticipating the Commanders are going to lose to the Eagles as well. So these teams have a lot to play for. This is not. There's not. They're not just playing spoiler or something stupid. Yes, I would agree with you. These next three games are playoff atmosphere for everyone involved. And then if if the Packers win out and then we have a couple losses or Detroit has a problem there at the end where they lose one more game, the Packers could actually, let me see if that's right. The Packers could get to 12. They could get to 13 wins. Yeah. So they have a lot to play for as well. The Packers have the
Yeah.
Saints on Monday night. I think they're going to outright beat them. Then we have the Vikings. That'll be a tough battle because we don't want to give up ground to them. Because if they win the
Give up
next
ground to
three,
the Vikings.
yeah.
Oh,
If
you're
they win,
talking
if
as
the
a as
Packers
a
win
as a
out,
as a
if the
Packer
Packers
fan or
win
what?
out
You're
and
starting to
we
talk like
lose
a
to
Packer fan right
Seattle,
now.
but I'm saying I was like, there's still a chance for the Packers to win the division.
Right.
If they win out, then it becomes a little hairy for if we lose to Seattle, then
If
it's
we
like
lose out in Detroit,
open.
wait, we'd have to lose this one and like beat Detroit,
Detroit would have
right?
to lose. Detroit would have to lose this week against the Bears. Then they go at Niners, which is should be a win for them. But it could get down to the wire if Detroit loses the next three, and it would be weird. I think the Packers do have a shot. So,
What
but everyone's got
why
a lot to play for, is what I'm trying to get at here.
yeah.
All these teams have a lot
Why
to play for. They've got nothing to lose, and everyone wants to be on the upward trajectory. You want to go into the playoffs on a winning type of form. So,
explain this to me, John? So the way that we get disrespected in the polls and all these different things and standings, why, other than the fact that the Eagles have been knocking on the door and have even like won like as recently in a sense, why is there so much hype around the Eagles right now? Because when I watch their games, Jalen Hurts and the chemistry of the team seems to be so off. They have talent or whatever, but why are people now even starting to like rank them ahead of us? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
well, they've won 10 in a row. They have the MVP in Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts is playing very well. I mean, yeah, he's not as well as he was as like in his MVP type year that he
Yeah.
had, but they're a dangerous team. They have a good
Well,
defense. They
Saquon's
have a good
crazy.
line.
I
They have a
get
great
that. Like,
secondary. They got two great corners. Saquon's
okay.
playing out of his mind. So they have a lot of talent on that team. And to win 10 in a row, you're definitely no slouch. So, I mean, yeah, they've beaten the Panthers and stuff like that, but they've beaten the
This
Commanders, Cowboys, Jags, Bengals, Giants, like Browns, those types of teams. But they're still
has
to be taken.
Saquon
They're still to
been
be taken seriously.
is he the
What I'm
primary
afraid of.
reason that they're even in the picture right now though?
Oh, for sure. He's carried the team. He's busted out a lot of long runs. To me, he's playing a little bit like AP did in his MVP year. It's gonna come down to him, Josh Allen, maybe a couple other dudes that are hanging around there for MVP. Josh Allen, I think, is starting to run away with it, especially after beating the Lions. But Saquon's definitely up there. And he's no joke at running back. You look at what's happening with yeah, I'm not a big fan of Sirianni. I could see him lose a game. Their coach is fallible, but if we have to go on the road and play the Eagles, I don't like that matchup. That scares me.
I am much more scared of the Rams than the Eagles personally. I mean because I had to experience it live and I think that they are getting hot at the right time. and they do also know how to like lock in, they scare me way more than the Eagles do. And
I don't
also
think so.
it's
I
the
don't think so.
style. Like I think our team can actually beat up on Saquon. Our running defense has generally been the best rushing defense throughout the entire league. We got chopped up by one back got us, right? I'm forgetting who it was now, but
We lost to the what team was that the week before? The Lions. Yeah. Is that what you're referring to or what?
was it might have it's so the Lions have obviously had our number a little bit with that. But no, who was the guy was it James Conner that like actually like started to bust up us up a little bit?
You mean
Um
Kyron Williams on the Rams? Who are you talking about? The Rams
no,
running back
wasn't it the guy wasn't it James Conner for
for the
the
Cards?
Cardinals that actually like he kind
Yeah,
of was like
he's
beating
a
us
good
up?
player. He's a good player. He was running hard against us, and we could have totally lost that game if they went for it in fourth down.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like a Saquon type of back, which he kind of plays. Saquon's much better than James Conner, which scares me to see that like that guy almost like broke our back for the first time as
I
far as
don't
our
like your
run
take that
defense.
you were afraid of the Rams. I don't that doesn't scare me. We already lost to him one time. It's a revenge game. It's tough to beat us twice in a season. We're going to be in SoFi. Remember that. It's going to be 50% Vikings fans or something 40, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
You know a lot
yeah,
of LA guys are going to come out for that game that or Minnesota guys that live in LA, so to speak. So I'm not really that doesn't really scare me.
yeah. They just
That game
had our
doesn't
numbers
scare
so bad.
we deserve to win that game. We already lost to them in the season on Thursday night. It was kind of a bullshit game. Remember the helmet, the face mask. We haven't lost a game since that game, mind you. So
I get that our team like definitely like bared down and figured it out after that. I just think there's something about McVay that like still has Kevin O'Connell by the nuts, right? So it just there's a little bit about that like, hey bro, like you're coming back home, you left, you think that you can like compete with me, like I'm your papa, and that's scary to me because he patted him on the back, he
I
burped
see
him.
that a little bit. I see that a little bit, but I'm not worried about the Rams. I'm more afraid of the Eagles.
So continuation of conversation before we jump into completely like what's happening this week. The Sam Darnold situation is going to continue to heat up. It's an important talking point throughout the entire season and then off season. I don't know how quickly the conversation changes after the season's done, but I think Sam Darnold has proven himself as like a contending quarterback for this job. I understand that we have a lot to give up, but I also think we could present something to him that he could also like give and take a little bit walking into this. I do not like the idea of just at least the way that some fans have asked, like just walk away from Sam Darnold. We don't need him. That I think we need to fight for him a little bit, at least this offseason.
I think it comes down to how far we go in the playoffs with him. How's he going to look in the playoffs? If he throws a lot of picks and is embarrassing, and he's the reason why we lose playoff game, a bad pick late in the game or a bad decision, a poor play in the fourth quarter, something like that, you won't see us being as giddy to keep him as we would have been, like considering how hot he's been rolling right now. But if we go to the NFC Championship game or dare I say, Super Bowl, I think you have to consider at least franchise tagging him and giving him like a 30 million type deal, 30 million a year type deal, letting JJ sit another year and rolling the dice with Sam Darnold again next year.
Okay,
This is
so that's
supposed
what
to
you're
be a
saying.
rebuilding year
So
for
you think
us.
franchise tag is on the table at least? So that's a
Yes.
1 year
Yes.
deal.
1 year deal. It's like 35 or it's a lot of money to give that it's going to be like a 35 or 40 million dollar deal.
Now the
Please, someone
problem
fact
is
check
he
me on that.
probably is gonna want years. He's gonna want a 4 year, $150 million contract or
Of
160.
course. As a quarterback, you want the long term deal. You want the signing bonus. You want the guaranteed money. You want all that. Franchise tag is sort of, it hamstrings you. It's what Kirk Cousins and the Redskins were doing for a little bit there.
But then you do get top five quarterback money, which I don't think he's top five quarterback money guy right now. If he went
You
out
don't
with a
think
4 year
so?
deal, huh?
I think he's playing like he is. Save the Monday Night Football game. He's been playing like a top 5 to 7 quarterback. And
Yeah, I no,
I think it gives
I
us
get
no
that.
choice. If we make a deep playoff run, we have to bring him back on a franchise deal. It's
And
just too much
this is
for
what I'm
me to have
concerned
a
about
prove
though.
it type deal where all of a sudden the way we're running right now, just handing the reins to JJ McCarthy. And then I'm assuming at that point we would have to bring Daniel Jones back as a backup and forget about the supplementary pick we would get if he walked. So I think the most logical scenario right now is franchise tag, and we win one playoff game or two, maybe. But that's what I think happens ultimately. And if he does more than that, I have to. At what point do you give him the 4 or 5 year long term deal? At what point? If we win a Super Bowl with him, are you going to say yeah?
That's what I'm
You
like
have to. You have to.
to me to me if with this team right now, I don't again, I don't totally understand the cap situation. I don't always know how that works. To me, it's his first year in a new system with all of these different fundamentals. If you win a playoff game, to me, I think you're the guy because that means that you already have so much foundational structure within 1 year to be able to like get an off season under your belt. And then the most unbelievable thing about the Vikings to me this year, being like call it like a super fan, is I'm still getting to know guys' names. Like this team is so absolutely out of nowhere. You know, it's like, okay, first this team starts and you're like, okay, there's a Sam Darnold. All right. You first I'm calling Aaron Jones, Adam Jones for the first like 3 games of the season. I'm like, okay, now I get it. This is Aaron Jones. He's dope. I get it now. And now we go all into all of our defensive stuff where it's like first I only know Ivan Pace Jr., then it's like Grenier Hill, and then it's like Redmond shows up out of nowhere the last like 3 games. You know,
Yeah.
so and you know, Gilmore and it's just we are just a hodgepodge group of all these misfits that have now become a top 3 team in the league, undeniably. Okay, undeniably top 5, whatever. Cool. That's if you can do anything to like hold that ground, I'm just like, this is an unbelievable window. Now I get it. If Sam Darnold's contract closes the window, I get why you have to get rid of him. And cheap quarterbacks are the way that you win Super Bowls. You win Super Bowls with great defenses and cheap quarterbacks. Um, and
But
I
with that,
think McCarthy's still our franchise. But Sam Darnold is so good, man.
but you have to look at it now. Okay, how much of it is Sam Darnold and how much of it is Kevin O'Connell, right? I mean, let's talk about how good Kevin O'Connell's been. He's been coach of the year candidate right now at this point. At this point, he's up there with you got to look at Dan Campbell. You got to look at what's that other guy, Dan Quinn. You got to look a couple other guys that are strong candidates for that. But Kevin O'Connell, I think, is our secret weapon here, right? I mean, he turned
Yeah.
Sam Darnold like a journeyman type guy that everyone threw out to pasture. They're just like, you're kind of done, man.
Well, look, I mean,
Give him like a $10
we
million
ruined
kind of
Kirk
bullshit
Cousins'
deal.
career's over.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins'
Yeah.
career is
So look
done.
at the fall off he's had without O'Connell. And then so I'm thinking now our strongest weapon right now is Kevin O'Connell. And if we
I
need to
do
play
want to find the
and if we need to
statistic that
let
I saw
Darnold
pop
walk
up
and save
last week.
another 20 million and maybe sign a cornerback or fill some other holes that we have on defense, makes us even stronger. If we can bring Brian Flores back, if we can do some things on the offensive line, maybe get another
Yeah,
receiver or something like that, like have like 3 deep kind of dudes with Addison and Jefferson, this team could be very scary, right?
there
And then
is like a
you
crazy
look at
statistic that
McCarthy sitting for 1 year and then having Kevin O'Connell do the same magic he's done with Darnold. Like I'm excited for this team and the coach that we have next year. No matter
yeah,
what happens with Darnold franchise or whatever, I feel like we're in a good situation. This is kind of like a good type of decision that we have to make. It's like, do we keep Darnold? I feel good about keeping if Darnold walks, I feel good about keeping McCarthy.
Yeah,
for
I get
next
it.
four on a rookie type deal. And you have to remember now, Kirk Cousins' money is coming off the books now. Another 40 million dead cap. We got, I think, what Hunter has some dead cap space too, Daniil Hunter. So we have a lot of money, a lot of cap space. And the thing that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah excels in is signing free agents. He's been hitting on almost all of them. Like look at
Between
Tinkle,
because
you
he
look at Cash,
leverages
Grenard. Go ahead.
he leverages B flow. Defenders go, I want to work with this guy, and then Kevin O'Connell, they go, I sign me up. I mean, look at Daniel Jones coming over here. He could start technically probably somewhere, and he goes, or at least be like he could get real money somewhere else for a second, maybe, or have a better opportunity where he's like, hey, I'm gonna go get plugged in with three contending quarterbacks and be like, I just want to be around the system. So and Quezi, you got to give Quezi all the credit for creating this like Avengers type of setup that we currently have. Um, and B-Flow and Kevin O'Connell having all this respect in the league, the guys just want to be around their systems. Now, and there was a statistic that went up last week where it's like Kevin O'Connell with like Josh Dobbs was like 2-0. He's 1-0 with like Nick Mullins. He's however many wins with Kirk Cousins, and then now with Sam Darnold. Um, in comparison to what those guys have all comparison done outside of his systems, it's hilarious because it's like a ultra universe stat. It's literally like flipped on its head where they're like unbelievably winning quarterbacks with him, and they're like some of the worst quarterbacks of all time, like without
Yeah,
him.
totally. And it wouldn't surprise me too if Darnold leaves and he's not as good next year somewhere else. Like he gets a 3-4 year deal somewhere. I couldn't even name a team that would take him, but you can see there. I just think there's going to be a drop off no matter what on his play. Like
Yeah, because
if
he's
he
gonna get a
sticks
job.
around, I think he could do maybe a little bit better for us. But he's playing out of his mind right now. Like he is and he's surrounded by some nice pieces. Hawkinson, that every catch he makes is a first down. We got Jefferson, that's obviously all pro number one. Addison's coming around strong. Like he's surrounded by some nice weapons. If he goes and has like some shaky receivers, then he's not going to be as good. I think in a
Well, if he
team.
has to go down to like a Jacksonville or something, like
Yeah,
somebody who moves on from one of their guys, and
crazy to me to think they move on for Trevor Lawrence, but it might happen. Yeah.
you might have to, like in this league, sometimes, like because
Mhm.
you get dung up the way that he did, and they're like totally done. You sometimes have to. He'd be like on Jacksonville or like maybe the Colts, right? Like I don't know. Like there's all these young quarterbacks that I get that like sometimes I think they need second chances other places that their teams might move on from.
You could look at Seattle or the Rams or the Niners, teams like that.
Raiders,
Maybe I think they really like that Shador Sanders guy. I think you can pencil him in there right away. Uh,
okay.
but it's tough. I'm not, I'm not. I haven't really given much thought about where he would go, but I wouldn't. Again, it's so dependent on how far we go in the playoffs.
Jets, back to the Jets because the Jets are dumb.
Who knows if Aaron Rodgers retires?
Yeah, I could see the
That'd
Jets
be a
doing
really
something
weird one. Him going
idiotic
back to
like
the
that.
Jets. I can't see it. I can't see it.
That'd be one of the dumbest moves
All
of
right.
all
Well, give
time.
me your predictions here for Seattle here. I know this is going to be a tight one here. They got two of their guys back that were out last week.
I again, like I'm not scared of Geno Smith. I think B Flow looks at Geno and goes, "This is fun to watch him like try to like relive a little greatness," and I think he stomps him out. I
Mm,
think this is like a two pick, maybe three pick type of like a two pick, one fumble type of outing for B Flow's defense. Um, I think we put up, I think it's 28-14.
28 40. We still take the W here. I'm a little bit more pessimistic about this game. They're giving us 3 points. The road team usually gets you take -3, so it's like 6. I'm gonna say we eke it out, but it'll be closer than people think. We have a hard time in Seattle. We're on a short week. We had that Monday night game. I'm gonna say we beat them. It'll be like a 28-24 type game, where maybe like something like that, or 28-25 or something. But This one makes me nervous. It does. It does.
Yeah.
But I'm still kind of just shocked at how well we've been playing all year. This team has far and away exceeded my expectations. We were supposed to have 5.5 wins, I think, Vegas line coming in, and we're at 12. Like, it's insane how well we've played this year.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so much fun to watch. All right, bro. Well, I appreciate you jumping
All right,
on.
over and out. We got some clips in there. Appreciate you guys listening. And Luke, disappointed you're not on this call. Hopefully you listen back later and hear what I have to say about that. But yeah.
Skull. God bless y'all. Over and out.
All right, take care.